Well, YouTube family, I'm back. I'm still recovering from the Ronnie Rona. So, if I sound a little stuffy, you'll have to forgive me. But the down to me actually gave me something powerful. Time to think, time to research, and time to really dig into a subject that most people don't talk about. Honestly, today, we're going to dive into something raw, real, and maybe even a little uncomfortable for some of you. We're going to uncover the 5 biggest sexual fantasies that women have but most never talk about. Now, let's be clear. When it comes to fantasies, most women carry them silently. Not because they don't have them, but because they're afraid of being judged, misunderstood, or even shamed for admitting what they really want. And here's the kicker. A lot of men interpret this silence as women don't know what they want. But that's just not true. In reality, women know exactly what they want. What they don't always feel is safe enough to say it out loud. That's why books like 50 Shades of Grey exploded the way they did. Think about, why did that story sell hundreds of millions of copies? Because it tapped into something that women had always been thinking, always been feeling, but were too embarrassed to admit publicly. It was like someone reached into their masked private thoughts and said, "Here, let's put this on display for the whole world." So, after looking through our research, academic studies, surveys, and even having real conversations with friends and women I trust, I've pulled together the 5 most common fantasies that women actually have. And I'll tell you right now, this list is not meant to be shocking or sleazy. It's meant to open your mind, maybe spark deeper conversations with your partner, and most importantly, help you understand women in a way most men never do. Because when you understand what women secretly fantasize about, you'll know how to unlock a level of connection, intimacy, and satisfaction that Moscas never even get close to. Alright, let's get into it. Here are the top 5 fantasies women rarely admit, but deeply desire. Fantasy number 1. Being dominated. Alright, fantasy number 1. And this honey came up over and over again in surveys, and in private conversations with women. It's the fantasy of being dominated. According to a survey published in the Journal of Sexual Medicine, nearly 65% of women admitted they fantasize about being dominated sexually. That means 6 out of 10 women you meet have had this thought, even if they've never said it out loud. Now, before your mind jumps straight to whips, chains, and leather dungeons, let's slow down. This fantasy isn't about women being weak. It's not about men being abusive or superior. It's about something much deeper: control, power, and the psychology of. Think about it. In today's world, women are constantly expected to be strong. They're running businesses, managing families, making decisions, and carrying responsibility. Society pushes them to always be in. So, what happens when the bedroom door closes? For many women, the ultimate release is the exact opposite: letting go of control. That's why BDS man power play communities exist and are so alluring. One partner becomes abusive, the other takes charge. And here's the psychology behind it. She's not really being forced into anything. She's actually giving herself permission to let go. She's saying, "I trust you enough to take the lead so I don't have veto." This isn't weakness, it's potential. And that's why you'll often hear powerhouse women, CEOs, leaders, women who run the show in their daily lives admit, sometimes only privately, that they fantasize about buying. Because domination in this sense isn't about humiliation. It's about freedom. Freedom from elevation to be in control. Here's where most men get it wrong. They think domination is about being harsh, aggressive, or reckless. But real psychological dominance is about confidence and safety. A woman can literally surrender when she feels secure with you, when she knows you're strong enough to handle her, protect her, and respect her boundaries. That's why domination, as a fantasy, isn't just, it's emotional. It's about leadership, about presence, and about making her feel like she can let go without fear. Let me ask you this. Have you ever noticed how some women test you, push your buttons, or resist your lead? Many times that's not because they don't want you to lead. It's because they want to see if you can. Domination at its core is about trust. If she trusts you enough to follow your lead, to surrender control, you've tapped into one of the deepest fantasies she has. And here's where it gets even more interesting. This fantasy often has nothing to do with actual whips and chains. For some women, domination is as simple as a man confidently taking her hand, telling her where to sit, or being decisive about what's going to happen. It's the masculine energy of certainty, direction, and power. That's why so many women say confidence is sexy, because confidence is domination with that needing to say a word. So, here's my question to you. When you hear that 65% of women fantasize about being dominated, what comes to your mind first? Do you think about control? Do you think about trust? Or do you think about something darker? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear where you stand. Fantasy number 2, threesomes and group desire. Alright, let's move to fantasy number 2, and this one is going to make some of you raise your eyebrows. It's the fantasy of threesomes, or even being the center of attention in group scenarios. According to social psychologist Justin Lemp, who surveyed over 4,000 Americans for his book on sex, a staggering 89% admitted to fantasizing about threesomes. And when you break it down by gender, women were just as likely as men to admit to it, sometimes even more. Now, let's pause it. Why would a woman who already has a partner fantasize about adding Sumi and Niels into the mix? It's not always about cheating or replacing you. It's about attention, desire, and validation. Think of it like this. Most women spend their entire lives being judged, compared, and criticized by society. Their looks, their bodies, their choices, but in the fantasy of a threesome or being with multiple partners at once, she becomes center of desire. Everyone is focused on her. She doesn't have to compete. She doesn't have to prove herself for that moment. She is the prize. Psychology explains it this way. Threesome fantasies are often about abundance of desire. The idea that one person isn't enough to contain the attraction she creates. It's also about novelty, a safe way to explore what's forbidden or taboo without consequences. And for some women, it's about power, being the one who gets to choose, direct, and enjoy attention from more than one person. Now, let me drop another stat on you that might serve. According to the Journal of Sexual Medicine, around 57% of women have fantasized about sex with more than 3 people at the same time. That doesn't mean she wants to live that out in reality. It's a fantasy. And fantasies are often about experiencing extremes in the imagination that would be messy, risky, or even chaotic in real life. Remember, fantasies are they let us feel things without the real-world complications of jealousy, betrayal, or consequences. Here's something interesting. I've noticed in conversations, when women talk privately about this fantasy, it's rarely about just sex. It's about being worshipped, being adored to the point that more than one person can't resist. That's not really a boot, it's about worth. It's about the deepest human desire to feel valued, wanted, and irreplaceable. So, let me ask you guys this. If your partner ever admitted she had a threesome fantasy, how would you react? Would you be open to discussing it? Or would you feel threatened? Drop your answer in the comments. Because how men handle this question tells women a lot about your security and confidence. And remember, just because a woman fantasizes about it doesn't mean she wants to live it out. In fact, most women don't. But the fantasy itself can reveal something powerful. Her longing to feel desired beyond measure. Fantasy number 3. Public encounters send the thrill of getting caught. Alright, let's move on to the third fantasy. And this one is all about risk, adrenaline, and breaking the rules. Fantasy number 3 is public sex in a place where you could get caught. According to research published in the Journal of Sexual Medicine, about 57% of women fantasize about having sex in a public place. Now, why would a woman who has a safe, private bedroom fantasize about doing something that risky? It comes down to psychology and biology. Here's the psychology behind it. Public encounters trigger the fight or flight adrenaline. That rush of danger of we might get caught actually intensifies arousal. It's about novelty, breaking out off routine, escaping the ordinary, and doing something forbidden. And it's about exhibitionism, the thrill of possibly being seen, admired, or even desired by others. Think about it. In everyday life, women are expected to be polite, composed, and proper, but in fantasy, all of that vanishes. Suddenly, she's not just a good girl. She's a risk-taker, a rule-breaker, someone entering enough to push boundaries. I once heard about a couple who admitted their hottest moment wasn't in a bedroom at all. It was in a quiet corner of a rooftop party. They said the fear of someone walking in made every touch feel electric, like their bodies were on. And that's the point. It's no truly about the location. It's a boost psychological high of doing something you're not supposed to do. Here's where it gets deeper. For some women, the fantasy isn't just about the end. It's also about being caught. Imagine this. She's kissing passionately in a hallway and suddenly that instant of being exposed can feel both terrifying and exhilarating because she's no longer hiding her desire. Of course. In reality, public encounters can get messy, risking embarrassment, even legal trouble. But in the imagination, it's limitless. It's safe danger. So, let me ask you guys, if your partner admitted she had a public fantasy, don't get in a car, at a beach at night, or somewhere risky, would you be excited? Comment below, because I want to know how bold this community really is. Fantasy number 4. Strangers and animus desire. Now, this next fantasy might surprise some of you, or maybe not, because nearly 50% of women admit fantasizing about having sex with a total stranger. Yeah, you heard that. Not a boyfriend, not a friend, not even a crush, but a man she doesn't even know. Why would a woman fantasize about this? It comes down to 2 key psychological triggers. 1. Detachment. When it's a stranger, there are no strings attached. She doesn't have to worry about his feelings, high expectations, or what happens tomorrow. It's purely about desire in the moment. 2. Symbolism. In most cases, it's not about the man, it's about what he represents. A woman might fantasize about a powerful stranger, a CEO, a celebrity, even a president because it symbolizes status and dominance. Another woman might fantasize about a dangerous stranger, a biker, a mysterious guy at a bar, because it represents raw masculinity and risk. It's not about him. It's about that feeling he triggers inside her. Research from the Journal of Sexual Medicine also shows that many women don't just fantasize about strangers, but about acquaintances like a friend's husband, a boss, or even a neighbor. Why? Because they're familiar enough to be tempting but still out of reach. The forbidden fruit factor turns up the heat. Novelty, curiosity, the thrill of crossing a line. So guys, let me ask you this. Would it bother you if your girlfriend admitted she's fantasized about a stranger? Or would you be turned on by an idea? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this one really divided us. Here's the thing. Stranger fantasies aren't about betrayal. They're about imagination, freedom, and escaping from the routines of everyday life. Because in her mind, she can be anyone, uninhibited, wild, unapologetic, and the stranger, he's just the canvas for her deepest desires. Fantasy number 5. Pain and pleasure. Alright gentlemen, this last one might shock you, but it's one of the most common fantasies women seek. It's the desire to mix pain with pleasure. According to research published in the Journal of Sexual Medicine, nearly 65% of women admitted fantasizing about spanking, biting, scratching, or even things like dripping wax on their skin. Yes, you heard that, pain. But here's the psychology in it. Pain isn't really it's about intensity. Pain pulls a woman into her body. It makes every nerve light up. Pain creates contrast, making the pleasure feel even. Pain forces her into the present moment. No distractions, It's the same reason 50 Shades of Grey became a global phenomenon. It tapped into that hidden part of a woman's psyche that craves release through surrender. Here's the key. Fantasies of pain are almost always tied to fantasies of control. When she's being spanked, tied up, or lightly bitten, she's not actually she's being given permission to let go. In everyday life, women are expected to hold it together, to be strong, polite, responsible. But in the bedroom, pain and dominance let her relinquish control without guilt. It's not about weakness. It's about freedom. Think about it. Spanking, scratching, even playful biting. All of these aren't about the main event. They're about building anticipation. Every sting makes your skin more sensitive. Every bite makes the next kiss more electric. Every moment of restraint makes the release more explosive. And that's the secret most men miss. Sometimes it's not about rushing to the finish. It's about drawing it out until her body can't take it anymore. So, let me ask you guys. Do you think women openly admit this kind of fantasy, or do they hide it out of fear of? Drop your thoughts and I want to see how honest y'all think women really are about this. That's fantasy number 5. Pain and pleasure. And with that, we've now covered the 5 most common fantasies women secretly hold. 1. Buying. 2. Threesomes and group. 3. Public encounters. 4. Strangers and forbidden curiosity. 5. Pain mixed with pleasure. Here's what you need to remember. Fantasies are not, they let women explore parts of themselves society tells them to suppress. And if you're the kind of man who can listen without judgment, who can create safety for her to express those desires, then you'll unlock a city for most men will never see. Because the truth is, she doesn't just want a partner in life. She wants a partner in her imagination. And if you can be both, she's never leaving you. Gentlemen, thank you for staying with me through this journey into the Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these fantasies shocked you? And which one do you think women hide the hardest? Drop your answer below, because this is the kind of conversation that could change the way you see intimacy forever.